Welcome to my video. These are going to be my thoughts on Season 1, Episode 8 of Star Wars The Acolyte, simply named The Acolyte. Another episode I love. Spoilers for everything Star Wars leading up to and including this episode. The episode is rated TV-14, so this video be... Let's dive right in. So, yeah, there were a number of things I loved about this episode. I'm going to try to cover all of them. Yeah, in no particular order. I really love that Osha and May kind of switch over the course of this episode. You know, some of this stuff is from earlier episodes, but, you know, by the end of this episode, Osha is the one in dark clothing. You know, she's the one trying to, not just trying, she's killing Soul, whereas May is trying to talk about, you know, we have to follow, you know, she says that they should let the, you know, he should stand trial, basically. And, you know, she's the one in this more, yeah, she's got like white clothing. She's the one carrying around Pip, who helps when she, you know, yeah, in an earlier episode, Pip sprayed May's face, now sprays Osha's. You know, if Pip, I get it, okay, but if all you have is a, you know, flame, yeah, anti-flame spray, everything looks like a fire. And let's see, I love that, you know, now we meet the senator, Rayencourt, and he is a person of color with some institutional power now, and he's using it to reform the Star Wars equivalent of police. And he's doing this just like in real life. What's driving this is that you know, he's recognizing a system that needs more accountability. You know, he's responding to abuse of power. And I thought they did a really great job. I was a little bit worried, because we spent so much time with the Jedi. I was a little bit worried that they were going to have him be like a hypocrite, or be like overly cruel. He does rub it in Vernestra's face a little bit, you know, what is that thing you say? May the Force be with you, you're gonna need it. You know, that was that was gratuitous, but I liked it. But no, you know, it wasn't this thing of, you know, oh, but he himself is completely out of control. No, he's clearly just trying to make sure that they're kept in check. You know, he never says or does anything. Yeah, although I suppose it is possible that, you know, if we get more, from what I understand, show creator Leslie Headland would like more seasons, but it hasn't yet been, what's the word? Wait, is it show creator, show runner, something like that? You know, she has ideas for more seasons. It has not been confirmed yet if there will be. I hope they don't do that with him. I would like more seasons. That's another thing. I love that this does function very nicely. I was a little worried if it was gonna function both as a season finale. You know, that part I wasn't so worried about, but series finale, and it does. You know, this is a perfectly fine place to end the story of the Acolyte, which also appreciate, you know, at the start of the show. I mean, I suppose to some extent, maybe, you know, Acolyte could refer to, let's just get the dictionary definition real quick. So, let's see, an acolyte, there we go. an acolyte is a person who follows and helps a leader, and it is sometimes like, yeah, someone who helps a priest in church ceremonies. Yeah, ultimately, like, it could refer to either, but I would say for most of the show, it seems like it refers primarily to May, or at least before the events of the show, refers primarily to May. By the end of this episode, it would seem it refers primarily to Osha. But yeah, as far as, if hypothetically this is the series finale, it resolves... I think it would have been a mistake. I didn't like seeing Sol die, but I think it would have been a mistake if this episode had left him still alive. Because what we have now is the 4 Jedi who, did these terrible things on Brendok are all dead. Everyone who knows what they did is in a situation where, like Vernestra knows... And Osha, no, May doesn't remember it, but Osha and the stranger know, and those last 2 are not very likely, now that Sol is dead, I'm not sure they're going to go confront the Jedi as such, because the Brendok 4 are dead. They got their revenge. That was also something, just real quick. I really appreciated that, May feels that Sol should stand trial, but when she realizes that Osha wants to kill him, she doesn't intervene. The stranger doesn't get to kill Sol, but because that's not his, we still don't know that much about him, but clearly Vernestra... Let's see. If I understand correctly, he was Vernestra's Padawan until he turned to the dark side. But yeah, Osha and May are the ones who were most victimized by Sol. This leads very nicely into... Okay, unless I forget, I'm gonna get back to the thing about how this works as a series finale, but... Yes, I really appreciate that, for all that... The show has, from the start, been, like, questioning, what is... Like, is it really light side, dark side, or is it that, you have the Jedi who try to control what won't be? And I really appreciate, the Senator says something very similar to that, and Vernestra's like, look, the Force... No, I'm not talking about the Force. I'm talking about emotions, He's pointing out that there is a fundamental flaw in the system, and that is often how you end up with bad systems. That is one of the problems with, police forces in quite a few countries. The foundation they were built on. They punish criminals, they stop people, but they don't help. A lot of them have not been trained to help people when they come across someone who just needs help. When there isn't a bad guy for them to take down. We've seen this many times when they respond to very minor crimes and stuff like, mental health crises and such. Very often the cops who arrive will escalate, and the person who called in about the mental health crisis will be emotionally devastated. This isn't what they wanted at all. Yes, you have the Jedi who try to control emotion, which, is not, that was something I really loved. In general, I love almost every video by the Pop Culture Detective, but I thought he did a fantastic job. He's done multiple videos on Star Wars. I 100% also recommend the one about droid. I think he called it The Tragedy of Droids in Star Wars or something like that. Fantastic video. I really do hope that at some point Star Wars proper actually confronts that, because here we still have this, Pip is now fighting against OSHA when they used to be friends before the factory reset. But yeah, one video he did talks about that really the fall of Anakin was that the Jedi Council, the Jedi method in general, did not account for his trauma, and yeah, we see that again here. I really appreciated that. Basically, there was a way to OSHA. The fact that OSHA ends up killing Soul, that could have been avoided, but Soul lied to her for 16 years. He told her that her own twin sister was responsible for all this, yeah. And then when, he didn't mean to confess to her. He meant to only confess to May. And then instead of just saying, of acknowledging that what he did was wrong, like, I think he does say that he knows that it hurt her and he didn't mean for that, but he keeps insisting, and I really appreciate, sometimes it's bad writing, but sometimes repetition is an extremely useful tool in writing, in dialogue and visuals, and here we have it in dialogue. Soul, I think 3 different times in this one episode, in like 40 minutes, he says, and he's dead for maybe the last 10 or 20 minutes of this, he keeps saying, I did the right thing. He even says that to OSHA right after confessing that he killed her mother. He's still insisting he did the right thing, and I want, and note that she doesn't say this is for killing her. She says, stop talking. Stop justifying what you did. Stop rationalizing. Just stop, and yeah, I realize she didn't say all those words, but that's what I heard. And that's the one thing I wasn't 100% sure if, when he says it's okay, is that him trying to de-escalate without telling her please stop, or is that him saying I accept that it is right for you to kill me, which would, if like, he keeps talking about how it was right for him to kill Anastasia, so there's a certain logical consistency to him saying that it's right, or at least okay for OSHA to kill him, but I wasn't 100% sure. Let me know in the comments what you took from that line. But yeah, and that's the thing, when, look at countless cases of police brutality. What do the cops say? We did it by the book. It was the right thing to do. I felt threatened. It's a bad guy off the streets. They're always, it's extremely rare to hear a cop actually say, I should not have used violence against the suspect, and I'm sorry. I wish that they were still alive, I think that covers that whole aspect. So yes, let me get back to yes, this as a series finale. Yes. So, yeah, yes. So, OSHA and the stranger are probably not, I don't think, based on this ending, are probably not going to confront the Jedi about what they did. Vernestra definitely seems like she's going to keep, it seems like she's going to keep it from everyone. I have to admit, it's only now that I really realize the weight of, because I don't, in the episode, was it before this one, or was it the one before, but, in an earlier episode, when the Jedi find all these dead bodies, and they note, Soul is missing, it's, this corpse pile is completely soulless. One of them says, did Soul do this? And I don't think Vernestra did, like, an overwhelming rejection of that notion. You know, I forget exactly what she said, but I'm pretty sure she didn't say there's no way that Soul would have done this. I think, you know, maybe at that time her mind was already going, maybe I shouldn't tell them exactly, because it is possible that I'll need to throw him under the saber. Yes, so the core conflict is resolved, and yeah, you know, by the end, I'm thinking Vernestra is going to tell Yoda. I suppose it's possible she's going to tell him the truth. Oh, by the way, yeah, the Vernestra actress said in an interview that, you know, she said emphatically, no, Yoda doesn't appear. Although I suppose, you know, plausible deniability. Does he appear? It's kind of like, that's definitely him. I'm not saying that, but you know, he doesn't have a line. We don't even get to see his face. We just see the I do appreciate that, the little bit of fan service, the very characteristic way his ears perk up, you know. But yeah, yes, I'm thinking she's going to tell him that the stranger is out there. She might not tell him about Osha. And I suppose she doesn't actually know for sure if Osha has turned or not. But yeah, you know, yeah. And, you know, one thing, I don't think I said in any of the videos, but I did realize, you know, if this is going to be the only season, it would make a lot of sense for them to have Darth Plagueis at least briefly appear. And he does. You know, in this episode, he is on the planet that the stranger has been on for a while, and he and Osha return to at the end. So, yeah, you know, he's going to study her, and from that, learn how to create life. That's how we get Anakin. You know, it's I forget if anybody actually claimed it was an outright plot hole. I have seen some people say, "Oh, this makes Anakin less special." 3 miracle births in 100 years isn't special, really? Like, it's not completely unique. It's not the most unique thing anymore, but yeah. I forget if I've seen anyone say it was a plot hole, but so I'm not gonna say for sure that anyone has. But yeah, clearly it isn't, and you know, I think, yeah, not sure if anybody said it about this specific thing, but for some of the earlier Star Wars shows, I remember some people said that there was no way for ADHD acting up again. Yes, I have actually been diagnosed with that. I'm not just saying it. Moses Ingram's character, I believe, on Obi-Wan Kenobi, you know, someone said after one of the early episodes, you know, how could she possibly know that Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader? And then in a later episode, we see, no, she literally saw it with her own eyes, you know. Sometimes you gotta wait for the entire season to have dropped before you make such declarative statements. You know, you can just say they should probably explain this. They need to address this before the season is over, because I do think it would have been, you know, if Plagueis hadn't popped up, that would have been. But yeah, you know, we know this is the first time we see his face in live action in a movie or a show, but at least official, possibly fan stuff, I don't know. But we could tell from the story, you know, not one you would be told by a Jedi. We know he's obsessed with the idea of, you know, prolonging life, creating life. So, yeah, you know, I mean, Osha's young. There's, let's see, I guess it's not a full 100 years, because Anakin, I don't know, is he like 10 in that first movie? So, I don't know, 90 years? He has 90 years to learn, you know, which, that it's possible that Osha is going to be very miserable for that time, but then that is the nature of evil. It is very selfish and greedy, doesn't take into account the people it hurts. But yeah, and I think that covers it. This as a series finale, as a season finale. Let's, I'm hoping that it'll do it well enough. Didn't for a while didn't seem like Ahsoka was getting a second season, which I understand it. If I understand correctly, it is getting a second season now, which I'm looking forward to. I think there's a lot they can do with that. But yeah, if hypothetically they get a second season, we could see Darth Plagueis work on understanding the life creation. We could learn more about the convergence, because in this show we really, I guess it's possible there's stuff about it elsewhere in like some of the books or something, but here it's basically just, it's really, really powerful, and Soul, the Jedi, they fear power they can't control. Nobody fears power that they can't control more than those who already have a decent amount of power. No matter how much you might think you're worried about, one of these tech billionaires are gonna, do significant damage, who are hurting a lot of people through lack of regulation. They're like waking up in a cold sweat. They're terrified of losing the power they have, and of other people being more powerful. But let's see, yeah, so we could learn more about that. We could learn more about Plagueis, who it does appear now is likely the one who, the stranger got some Jedi training, and then Plagueis gave him some other training, and that's where he got the word Sith. He is the Padawan of Plagueis. Hence, following the rule of two, which actually, come to think of it, does that mean that based on the Revenge of the Sith, I always assumed that the Palpatine was the Padawan. I don't know why I keep mispronouncing that, Padawan of Plagueis, but I guess maybe the stranger is, or I guess possibly even Osha, and then Palpatine learns it from one of them, because there's no way that the stranger is supposed to be Palpatine. So yeah, but the on age alone, as far as we can tell, he is human, or the Star Wars equivalent of human, which they appear to age at the same rate as actual humans. And but that's another thing. In a season 2, there could be some conflict between, if the rule of 2 requires that there really are only 2. If with Plagueis, the stranger, and Osha, that's 3, and you could see how Plagueis might be worried about Osha's power. And that is actually, in this episode, we don't see if he fears it or wants to encourage it. It is possible that he has been hoping that the stranger, because the stranger, he says he just wants a Padawan. He says that's why he's manipulating Osha, but maybe he wants to impress Plagueis by bringing him Osha, and maybe he thinks there's something in it. If Plagueis said, if you bring me, if you bring to their full potential one of these 2 twins, you and I can both get eternal life, and that's why the stranger pushed May so hard towards, reaching the full potential. But yeah, season 2 could have training. Maybe the Jedi realize where the stranger and Osha are, and go there. There's, you know, maybe they're forced to go on the run. Let's see. You could have. I'd very much be interested in seeing May deal with, you know, being a 23-year-old who doesn't have a single memory past her 8th year of life. You know, that would, you know, you can understand why that was what the stranger suggested and went ahead and did, but that's, yeah, that must be really good. You know what? That could actually, I think that could work as an interesting, like, metaphor for LGBTQ plus identity, feeling like, you know, it's especially stuff like trans, non-binary, and intersex, you know, feeling like your mind and your body are in conflict with one another, because you could easily see how there could be like a Star Wars equivalent of like therapy that brings, you know, and you could have the Jedi be like, no, you have to repress it. It's important that you stay this way. That's making, you know, that's causing you actual pain. You know, that could further explore this. Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting things they could do with a second season. And if I understand correctly, like Headland has ideas for multiple more seasons. Yeah, as long as it keeps being this freaking good, yeah, please keep them coming. That might be all that I had to say about this one. Right, yeah, at one point, I forget which character, but one of them is like, do it. I think you mean, do it. And, yeah, Stranger, you could have given Osha and May just like a second more, you know. You didn't have to start erasing her memories right there. Although, as someone who has the ADHD, it hits a little different to see, you know, she's like, I don't remember the rhyme, and I'm just like, yeah, there's a ton of stuff I don't remember. There's over the course of this video, there's been stuff I didn't remember that I feel like I probably should be able to remember. So that's, yeah, but, you know, yeah, neurotypical bias in the writing. I feel like there was at least one other. Oh, right. Yeah, the lot of great stuff on Brendock in this episode. I like how, like, May and Osha are headed in, and then, like, you know, Osha's like, I gotta fix this elevator, and May says something like, are you sure? And then when Osha turns around, May is just gone, you know. Very, yeah, nice and creepy. And we see the tunnel that she escaped through after the, yeah, when she fell. You know, the 16-year-olds, or 16 years earlier, yeah. Yes, yeah, and the stranger, like, watches Vernestra with Soul, and then when Vernestra turns, he's just gone. Yeah, super chilling when Vernestra, like, when it becomes clear she's going to keep the lie going, you know, because she had a chance. She could have said, you know what, we made mistakes, we're not going to let it happen again, we're going to fix this. But no, she keeps, you know. Should there be like a deleted scene of like a, you know, Force Ghost of Indara being like, very nicely done, you know, just tip of the Jedi hood or something. And Soul is like, you didn't have to throw me under the saber. But yeah, you know, she insists she's going to keep the lie going, and, you know, yeah, you know, saying that Soul killed his, you know, killed the others, and she makes no mention of the twins or the stranger. You know, so, like, the senators don't even know that there is a threat to the Jedi out there, which, again, you know, from Vernestra's certain point of view, you can understand. She does, you know, she wants to try to keep this, you know, sweep all this under the rug, But that's the thing, you know, when someone with authority lies, sometimes you end up with, you know, that's, yeah, honestly, I could see how maybe season 2, maybe something terrible happens to Jedi in part because she lied about this, about the presence of the stranger. Yeah. Um, yeah, I guess that covers... Psych! Obviously, I'm going to talk about the action. Did I have you? Be honest. Yeah. This has maybe the best action of the entire show. Like, holy crap. You've got slow motion, you've got people jumping through the air. I got kind of a Matrix vibe. I heard someone say it's like wuxia. I honestly don't know enough. I know just enough to pronounce that right. Because that's, you know, it's spelt W-U-X-I-A. So, you know, for us Westerners, that wouldn't be our first guess at how to pronounce it unless you know enough about, I forget, is it, I want to say it's Chinese. I'm going to do a quick search. Wuxia, yeah, Chinese. But yeah, you know, if you know just one wuxia, it's hold on, I'm just gonna make sure I have it right, so I don't. Yeah, for us Westerners, perhaps the most famous. Yeah, okay. So according to Wikipedia, yeah, this was, yeah, the introduction to Hollywood studios in 2000 was Ang Lee's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. You know, and yeah, if you remember the action from that, and how could you not? Yeah, you can see what I'm talking about, how the fighting in this episode is very wuxia. Oh, that's right, yeah. Hero, Matrix, Kill Bill. Huh. Yeah, Kung Fu Panda, yeah. I only watched the first Kung Fu Panda. And yeah, the MCU Shang-Chi has some wuxia. Yeah, opens with a wuxia sequence. But yeah, the you know, yeah, there's some wuxia in yeah, I think basically every like person on person, every action scene in this show, you know, not the ones with like ships and such, but yeah, all of them have some wuxia, but this seemed like the some of the biggest. I suppose possibly also certainly the one between a lot of different fighters a couple of episodes ago. That one was also with the stranger, you know, yeah, mopping the floor with Jedi. That was also very wuxia. But yeah, some really amazing stuff with that. And I really appreciated the you know, May comes in and stops the fight, and is, you know, yeah, chooses not to just kill Soul. Yeah, I really appreciate. I honestly wasn't sure if we were going to witness another massacre, you know, the stranger killing a bunch of other Jedi, you know, like in the earlier episode, you know. Right, and I'm sure someone's gonna say, oh, you know, why did the stranger have such a difficult time against Soul when he mopped the floor with all these other Jedi? For one thing, several of those Jedi were like younger, had less experience. You know, I mean, some of them might not even been born when, you know, during the events of Brendok, where, excuse me, Soul was clearly already very capable. You know, he did a pretty decent job against Kalnaka once Kalnaka was possessed, but the, you know, so that's one thing. And I also am not 100% certain that the stranger was always trying to kill Soul, because if he wanted to personally kill Soul, he didn't have to bring Osha. You know, he could easily have like the moment that she says, she saw this vision, like if he tries full force to subdue her, I don't think she's, like, she might overall be strong enough, but I don't know that she has enough training to stop him. And if Plagueis joins in, I'm pretty sure it's completely guaranteed. Osha kills Soul without a weapon, whilst wearing garb that we normally associate with May. Was the vision, did she see herself and think, or maybe wishful thinking turned it into May? I wouldn't rule that out. I appreciate the heavy breathing once the helmet comes on. Very, Darth Vader, which, yeah, she and Anakin are created seemingly the same way. Let's see. I think, yeah, and I mean, if they keep making multiple seasons, maybe one of them like ends with like someone impregnating Shmi, and it's like this big visually impressive thing. Maybe we get like flashes of like what Anakin is going to grow up to do, and one of the people who's yeah, like if Palpatine is there, maybe it's like it's glorious or something. Or wait, yeah, see, I've never been sure. Does Palpatine know how strong Anakin is before the events of Phantom Menace? I've never been 100% clear on that. Although I suppose it's possible that he knew but didn't know where Anakin was or something. Anyway, but yeah, I feel like there's just one more thing that I wanted to. I feel like Columbo. I do that a lot. R.I.P. Peter Falk. You were hilarious in Murder by Death. I could swear. I feel like there's one last thing. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So, IMDb trivia for this episode. Okay, so someone wrote a bunch. Okay, I'm just going to speed run this. First time in a series or film that the process of bleeding a kyber crystal is shown. The only other time the bleeding process has been seen on screen was when the fallen Jedi, Dagon Geras, who was from the High Republic era, rage and hatred corrupted his kyber crystal while he was dueling former Padawan Cal Kestis in Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the video game I believe it is. The recent lightsabers carried by the Sith and Dark Jedi are red is because the kyber crystal has been corrupted by the dark side of the Force. A dark side adept uses the Force to bend the crystal to their will. This process changes the color of the crystal to red. The canon comic book Darth Vader reveals that when the Sith Lord makes their first lightsaber, they must kill the Jedi in combat, take the crystal from their lightsaber, bleed it to use as their own, which is why the stranger tasked me to kill a Jedi without using a weapon. Yeah, makes perfect sense. The canon novel Ahsoka 2016 also reveals that the light side of the Force can heal a red kyber crystal and remove the corruption, turning the crystal's color white, which is why Ahsoka Tano's lightsabers in Rebels, Mandalorian, and Ahsoka have white blades. She took the kyber crystals from an Inquisitor's lightsaber after defeating him in a duel and healed them with the light side and used them in her newly constructed sabers. First, albeit brief, canonical appearance of Darth Plagueis, Sith Master to Darth Sidious, Emperor Palpatine. Plagueis was featured in Star Wars novels that were deemed non-canon and subsequently rebranded as Legends when Disney purchased the IP. Keeping true to the Legends novels, Plagueis is of the moon species. I'm going to guess how that's pronounced. The figure in the cave at the unknown planet fits the description of Darth Plagueis from Legends. Yeah, I did really, maybe that was the thing I really appreciated seeing the crystal turn red, and yeah, I mean, I appreciate she is killing someone who isn't armed. Yeah, honestly, I'm not 100. I guess, yeah, it's again, it's moral gray. Whether or not she's doing the right thing is in part left up to audience interpretation. Obviously, in my personal opinion, violence should only ever be used to prevent greater violence. If you're in a specific situation where you can see this is, causing violence, that's when it's okay for you to use violence, and only if you can't find another way. It's still the absolute last resort. But when you listen to Soul, it kind of sounds like he, again, he doesn't apologize, and he keeps saying it's the right thing to do. People who think that they did the right thing when they did something really terrible, that suggests they might do it again. There's countless times throughout history where someone did something terrible, and maybe for some of them, for a while they were maybe conflicted, but eventually they manage to convince themselves, or someone else has too much influence over them, says no, it was the right thing to do, and so they go out and do it again. So in a way, maybe she is preventing greater violence. And you could understand, like, I mean, if they do send Soul back, isn't he just gonna try to find them and kill them again, or kill the stranger at the very least? And I mean, he was about to blow up May. I don't know if Osha knows that, but in the ships, yeah. Oh right, yeah. A couple of brief things. I like that and now I don't remember. Pip, was that the name, or have I just been watching a lot of South Park recently? I think it's called Pip. Pip Droid too. Osha apparently nicknamed it Pip also, but that is the droid type, which I don't know. I mean, I guess that is a bit like calling a dog doggy or an eagle eagly. I still gotta watch that show. I hear so many great things. Yeah, the yes. Maybe naming a guinea pig Guinea Weasley. Yes, the yeah, Pip, managing to get May out of her restraints, which again is, earlier, Pip was very much trying to stop her. I loved, I'm still not the biggest fan of the fact that Basil, that he, in an earlier episode, he just like kicks. Did he kick May's shin or stomp on her foot or something like that? He doesn't really manage to stop her. Here, he is able to although he still doesn't. He's able to his nose finds them, the person they were looking for, one of the people they were looking for, but it's too late. I really hope this doesn't screw up his performance review, because it's clearly just like plot armor on the for the other characters. It's not that Basil is Basil is doing his job. Okay, he's doing his best, and I feel bad that he keeps showing up just tiny bit too late. But at least in this one, he saves May's life, which also, like, Soul was actually going to blow up. I don't know if I feel like that was maybe pushing it a tiny bit too far, because, like, for so much of it, he doesn't seem, and they made it quite clear, like, it's not, the gravity of it, he's not just, like, it's not disabling the ship and then he'll, get her back. He's going to blow up her ship. Yeah, these twins just have no, like, they crash on planets like it's going out of style.